It's a special day, it's a special year, it's a special season. The 25th edition of the JK Tyre FMSCI National Racing Championship, and we're bringing coverage to you live from round one. We will have to move off the track and come back with this intro in just a bit because cars are coming out for a sighting lap. So we will have to go off the racetrack, but we will be back very soon. Meanwhile, just do stay with us. We had to clear it because we had to clear the track up.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to the live coverage of the day second of the 25th JK Tyre FMSCI National Racing Championship. Slight delay because we have one last sighting lap going on with the cars, as just informed by Raman. We'll start the day, that's day two in this round with the JK Tyre Novice Cup race. Will be 10 laps, race number 6 of the weekend. We've already had 5 races yesterday. During the course of the day, we will get you highlights of all the action that happened yesterday as well. The start of the day with the Novice Cup category, we will have the reverse grid kick in, which means the top 8 in the qualifying will be reversed. That means we started at P1, we'll start at P8, P2 will start at P7, and so on and so forth, while 9, 10 and the remaining will start at their own positions. Just another reminder, we had a slight delay because we had another sighting lap underway. The sighting lap seems to be done now. Or you can see one of the officials on the racetrack signaling the cars to just go on with yet another lap. You see on the left of your screen, instructions being given to the drivers to just continue with that, don't stop on the grid. Kyle Kumran has dominated this category so far. We've got 2 races already done in this category, and both were won by Kyle Kumran, while the other winners, as far as this category was concerned, the other podium finishers, if I may add, Joel Joseph and Dhruv Goswami was one of the race winners, while in the second race it was Vineet Kumar and Aditya Parsuram who finished second and third respectively, although it was Kyle Kumran, as I said earlier, winning both the races earlier yesterday. Car number 9, as you saw, the yellow one of Dhruv Goswami, the lad from Bangalore, one of the M Sport team members. We will have a formation lap and then we will have the racing action commencing very, very shortly. As always, a bright, sunny and a windy day here in Coimbatore at the Kari Motor Speedway. I'm Karthik Sinha in the commentary box. On the right you can see the media center as well, the race control room. As the cars now make their way to the starting positions on the grid. The technicians also will now come out for some final fine-tuning if needed before the start of the race. we talk about the weather, it's 28 degrees at the moment, while a couple of more degrees as far as the track temperatures are concerned. It's great news. Only 4% chance of rain, so that's something that can be ignored. Although, as far as today is concerned, highest temperatures will go up till 31 degrees Celsius. So it could be a difficult day for the drivers in these cars and obviously on their bikes as well. We talk about the wind here, the city of windmills, Coimbatore. Wind blowing in southwesterly direction at 11 kilometers an hour. Great visibility, 8.05 kilometers. Humidity is in the highs of 69%.
So we'll continue our coverage now of the 25th edition of the JK Tyre FMSCI National Racing Championship. The first race of day 2 is just about to get underway, and you can see the cars have lined up in a reverse grid. This, remember, is going to be the JK Tyre Novice Cup category. We're starting off on pole position. This is going to be a very interesting scenario to see Navneet Burani, who lines up on pole. We've got under 3 minutes before the start of the first race of the day. Navneet starting on the reverse grid on pole position. Let's hand it over to Karthikeya Sinha, who's in the commentary box. Karthikeya, it's over to you.
Welcome back to the live coverage of the 25th edition of JK Tyre FMSCI National Racing Championship. This is live action from day 2 of the opening round, and as you can see, we're just a minute away from live action. First race of the day will be of the JK Tyre Novice Cup category. 10 laps in this race. We've already had 2 races yesterday in this category. First, we'll have the formation lap and then the 10 laps in this race. As Raman said, the reverse grid will kick in. Off they go for the formation lap. Let's very quickly talk you through the grid. It will be Navneet Burani, who starts at P1, Aditya Parsuram at P2, Gaurav Kochar at P3, Chetan Sirineni at P4, Aman Nagdev at P5, Dhruv Goswami at P6, Joel Joseph at P7, and winner of both the races yesterday, Kyle Kumran, starting at P8. Then we have Adit Parashar at P9, Nitish Chaudhary at P10, Akshat Vineet at P11 and 12 respectively. Then we have Deep Singh, Katnori and Anvay Hem Rajani in row 7. Row 8 will be Dylan Thomas and Shivik Tyagi. Row 9 will be Arjun Shyam Nair, who had a couple of incidents yesterday in one of the races, and Prabhanj Puruchari in P18. Then Kamal Karanjik at P19, Shaurya Bhatt P20, followed by Kishan Bindal, P21, Abhinav Narendra Kumar at P22, Ashwin Kumar and Sanskar Jaiswal locking up row 12, that's P22 and 24, 23 and 24, and Surya Narayan along with Rishit Nisar in P25, 26, and Rishan Bhatnagar starting way back at P27. It's a 5 grid penalty for a gearbox change for Kishan Bindal, so he will start at P21. Kishan Bindal of Hasten Performance, the lad from Bangalore, has been given a 5-place grid penalty for a gearbox change. So done with the formation lap. Now moments away from the start of this race, race number 6 of the weekend, first race of the day in the JK Tyre Novice Cup category. This will be a big challenge for Kyle Kumran, who's won both the races yesterday, although he's now starting at P8. So now it'll be very interesting as Shivik Tyagi at the moment, it seems, is not part of the grid. As you can see, one of the spots empty, and off they go. It's a terrific start. In fact, it's a staller for Navneet Burani. Just a no-goer from him on. There's a little collision there as well. My word. You can see the few cars in the background, and here again it's Kyle Kumran, car number 70, that was involved in that, and that you can see Kyle's car there, and he'll have to wait for the others to pass by before he can rejoin the race. It was an incident-full race. Both Ahura Racing cars there tangled up.
Look at what happened here. Straight into the side wall. and then onto the oncoming car. The collision started, the entire process started with Shaurya Bhatt colliding with one of the cars, and that's what really triggered off that entire melee in the mid-pack, and the race has been red flagged. Very understandably, there were at least 4 cars involved in the first incident right near the start line, and then towards C1 there was another incident involving the race leader Kyle Kumaran with the pole sitter, and we hope that he's able to rejoin the race depending on the damage that's done to his car. But the race has been red flagged on the first lap itself, and you can see Kyle Kumaran's car just a little while ago, it had a dent on the nose, but 2 cars looking totaled on the racetrack at the moment.
Well, that's the end of the race. Well, there's another incident there. I think it's Ashwin Kumar KP, car number 66 in fact. That's Akshit Kumaran of M Sport, the lad from Chennai. He was also involved there. So, as Raman said, understandably red flagged. We will see a slightly open grid now with a couple of Ahura races certainly out.
And Karthikeya, the whole reason why this melee started was because the pole sitter Navneet Burani's car had stalled. If you look at the race restart again, right from the top, if you look at the race restart, you'll find that the first car itself on the grid on P1 had stalled, and because of that the oncoming cars on that straight actually tried to avoid the the car that was stalled. Abhinav Narendra Kumar's car from Ahura Racing, his car's taken a fair bit of damage, as has another Ahura Racing car. So 2 Ahuras getting total. Now this is what happened. Look at the pole sitter. He stalled on the track, which is why all the oncoming cars from behind had to avoid that car. This was a collision straight into the safety wall on the side. A couple of Ahura Racing cars colliding. Another Ahura Racing car in the scheme of things. And then coming into C1, it was Kyle Kumaran's car that also got a tap on the front nose, and he locked on the brakes and went in for a spin after that. The car spun, and there were a couple of incidents all through. And look at what happened there. This is after they came out of that hairpin from the top corner, where Akshit Kumaran's car also sustained damage. But luckily for him, he's still running. But now it's time for the recovery crew to get on with things, and Amit Jhingan and his team are going to be straight away hard at work early morning on a Sunday morning to try and clear the racetrack.
Straight away called into action, well, it's a very action-packed start. Not the kind of start we expected, but well, this is what it is. This motorsports, things like that happen, and clearly you can see the pole sitter Navneet Burani, whose car stalled and which started all that. He is also not involved now at the moment, it seems, because he's not on the grid, you can see. So effectively, it's Aditya Parsuram who starts at P1. He would want to build on the podium finish he got yesterday with a position at the start. This is what happened. You can see Navneet's car stalling. So all the cars from the behind, they had to take that left to avoid contact with him. And this is where it started. That's the first contact. That's when one of the Ahura Racing cars spun and hit the safety wall. And the cars following behind were all then involved. Most of them were involved on the start-finish line. And then at corner 1, as Raman said, was Kyle Kumaran. Once again, we'll show you how it all started. No problem there for P3, who got on with the business very easily. But this is where it all started. That contact, then getting on with the car number 74 as well.
So effectively what happened there was Kishan Bindal of Hasten Performance initially trying to avoid the stalled car on P1, just dove in to the left, and unfortunately he collided with Abhinav Narendra Kumar of Ahura Racing. So Ahura Racing, that one car got totaled, and then coming from behind, Surya Narayanan, the other driver from Ahura Racing, who had started off in this race. If you look at Surya's position, he was on P25. So he was actually running behind Abhinav Narendra Kumar, who's on P22. He collided into that car as well. And so 2 Ahura cars getting totaled. A fair bit of involvement, a melee there of at least 4 or 5 drivers just near that starting lineup, just near the start grid, colliding, and the race Well, quite understandably and unfortunately being red flagged. So the recovery crew have got their hands full. You can see two Ahura Racing cars being towed off. Those are cars belonging to Abhinav Narendra Kumar and Surya Narayanan. Those are the two cars that are being taken off.
The one you see right now, the blue one, that's Shaurya Bhatt, car number 74 of Momentum Motorsport.
And Shaurya's car was struck by, if you look back at the replay, Abhinav Narendra Kumar's car. And Abhinav's car was actually struck by Kishan Bindal. So it just kind of was a domino effect where multiple drivers got involved in the incident. Luckily, all drivers are free, but it all started because the pole sitter's car stalled. That's the trigger for what happened. Navneet Burani's car had stalled, and look at what happens now as the drivers from P20, 21, 22 try and avoid the car up front. There you can see the contact with Kishan Bindal's car with the car of Ahura Racing, the driver Abhinav Narendra Kumar. And Abhinav Narendra Kumar then ended up colliding with Shaurya Bhatt, and then the oncoming Ahura Racing car belonging to Surya Narayanan got involved in the tangle as well. So that's the entire sequence of events, but it's led to a red flag, which means the race will be restarted.
Once again, did very well there, Gaurav Kochar, to avoid any contact. He was starting at P3, very quickly turned left and avoided the stalled car of Navneet Burani. But with so much traffic up ahead, there you see now Kishan Bindal, car number 24, turning left. That's the contact there with Abhinav Narendra Kumar's car. Abhinav then spins, hits the wall. There's Shaurya Bhatt as well involved there, car number 74. You can see Kishan Bindal, although where it all started, he was clear. Yes. Got the space between the two, and that was another incident. That was Ashwin Kumar KP.
Yes, because his car, he locked up the brakes, car number 55, he locked up the brakes and therefore went into a spin, and to avoid that spin, Surya Narayanan tried to avoid that car number 55. Unfortunately for him, he had no other place left, went straight in and collided into his teammate's car, which was stalled right in front of him on the racetrack, Abhinav Narendra Kumar. So in the end, quite a melee. Not what you'd want to start your race off with, but look at the realignment that's going to happen on the grid. Remember, it's going to be, since the race was red flagged on the first lap itself, the starting grid for the race will hold. And this is what happened from the front angle. You can clearly make out the melee in the backpack as they came past that starting line. And then this was an incident up front as well, where Kyle Kumaran, his car collided with his teammate Joel Joseph's car, and we're hoping that there's not too much damage. You can see the front left tire took a beating, and in the process, as his car spun, the nose of the car getting damaged as well, as Joel Joseph, his teammate, managed to hold his racing line and went past. So team principal Sarosh Hataria of Ahura Racing, he's not going to be a happy man for sure, because he's seen a couple of his drivers come straight back into the hut.
Certainly not the kind of start Ahura and Sarosh were hoping for, but well, it is what it is. 5 minutes away from the restart of this race. Again, we will have the formation lap, and you can see clearly 4 cars are missing from the starting grid. Those 4 starting with Navneet Burani and Shaurya Bhatt. Then moving on to the 2 Ahuras of Surya Narayan and Abhinav Narendra Kumar. So these 4 will not join the restart. It's a very, very good opportunity for Aditya Parsuram, who was on podium yesterday. He's now effectively P1. So he will want to continue with that and make sure he gets a very good start, get their lines right. But there will be a clear siding up straight ahead for Gaurav Kochar as well, who starts at P3 because P1 is not there. So he's got clear track up ahead of him as well to start off.
Talking about clear track, well, right now that's what's being done. They're trying to clear the track while the Ahura Racing cars have made it back to the pit lane, albeit not in the manner in which team principal Sarosh Hataria would have been expecting these cars to return. And it's, of course, as I said before, the end of the race, and probably looking at the damage that's been sustained, probably will they look back at that race footage and probably feel a little hard done with all that transpired. But then when you have the first car on the grid stalling for the drivers coming from P20, 21, 22, you don't get too much time to sight the stalled car in front of you. With so much traffic in front of you, you cannot really figure out whether the car stalled. And unfortunately, we saw that by the time they'd realized there was a stalled car in front, it was too late.
Lucky for Kishan Bandal to have rejoined, because when he took that first left to avoid Navneet's car was stalled, that is when that initial contact was made with one of the Ahuras, and that was of Abhinav Narendra Kumar. And well, Abhinav, then obviously there was contact with Shaurya Bhatt as well, and the following car of Surya Narayanan. A lot of damage there. You can see the front wheel of the left and right. In fact, both the front wheels have taken a massive beating. That certainly is the end of the race. They'll just be hoping that they can get the car ready now for the next race in this category.
Which I dare say, Karthik, would be a tough ask if you're looking at the next race that's slated in this JK Tyre Novice Cup at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So I'm sure the race weekend is in jeopardy for Surya Narayanan and also for Abhinav Narendra Kumar. Abhinav Narendra Kumar, remember the lad from Bangalore, Surya Narayanan from Kunnur, both drivers from Ahura Racing. Now this, I'll be taking a look at the scenes in the pit lane and in the pits for Ahura Racing. Some serious faces and trying to do some introspection as to what happened. Let's talk about the drivers who are still on the racetrack, and that's where you said that on P2, Aditya Parsuram, who finished third yesterday in the second race of the day, he remember spun out earlier in race 1 and then had to regain positions, missed out on a podium finish in race 1. He's got a chance now, as you were saying earlier, with no driver on P1. It'll be interesting to see how he covers his inside line coming into C1, because there will be a challenge that will come in from Gaurav Kochar, who starts off on P3 but effectively has a clear line of sight up front. Temperatures in Coimbatore around 29 degrees, but the track temperatures would be a couple of degrees hotter, and as the day progresses those temperatures could be heading north of 30.
Southwesterly wind blowing across the Kari Motor Speedway of around 11 kilometers an hour as off they go for the formation lap. So very quickly we'll just tell you who all are now there as far as the start grid is concerned. Navneet Burani is out of the race, so Aditya Parsuram effectively starts at the pole position, although he is in P2. Then you got Gaurav Kochar and Chetan Suruneni, Aman Nagdev and Dhruv Goswami, Kyle and Joel Joseph at P8 and 7 respectively. Adit Parashar at P9, Nitish Chaudhary P10. Then you got Akshay Kumran along with Vineet Kumar at row 6. Deep Singh Katnori and Anvay Hemrajani as well at P13 and 14. Dylan Thomas Zakaria at P15. Shivek Tyagi, Arjun Shyam Nair and Pravanj Parchari 17 and 18. Kamal Kanan JK at P19. Shaurya Bhatt was at P20. He's not a starter now. Kishan Bindal P21. Abhinav Narendra Kumar, who was at P22. His race has ended. Ashwin Kumar KP, I think he was also one of those whose race has ended. The yellow car that we saw earlier in one of the replays around corner 3, which skid and spun. So we'll just get that confirmation in a moment, while Sanskar Jaiswal will start at P24. End of the race for P25, that was Surya Narayanan. Rishit Nisar at P26 and Rishan Bhatnagar at P27. So, well, Kyle Kumran is on the track. You just saw car number 70 there with the damage, still with the damaged nose. So how much is that going to affect him and his race? We'll just have to wait and watch.
Yes, I think also the worry would be the kind of suspension and trussing on the front tires, because that's where the collision took place initially. Of course, the aerodynamics will be affected because of the damaged front nose of the car. It's going to be a 10-lap race. Remember, the race was red flagged on the first lap itself, so it will be a 10-lap race. That's the official confirmation that we are getting at the moment.
Right then, let's go again on this one again. It's a very, very important race.
So the formation lap is done without any trouble. We're just moments away from the restart of this race. That's the opening race of the weekend. 5 reds the moment they go off. And off they go. It's a good start here for Aditya Parshuram. In fact, it's a decent start for Chetan Suryaneni and Gaurav Kochar as well. It is Aditya Parshuram who's leading. Chetan Suryaneni, in fact, has moved into the second position starting from P4. It is Aditya who continues to lead car number 6. You can see Gaurav Kochar who started at P3. Well, some of the racers just couldn't break on time and they will have to go through straight through that tyre barrier and wait for the others to pass by before they rejoin the race.
Yes, absolutely, and they can see them rejoining the race. The most important part is that you've gotten through. Oh, the spin there for Anvay Hemrajani of Avalanche Racing, while car number 2 belonging to Shivik Tyagi has slowed up as well. The driver from Quest Motorsport, right from Delhi, who, if you remember, when the race began the first time around, had to go into the pit lane to get some work done. And luckily, I'll take a look at what happened here. Just as the cars went into corner 1, this is what happened to some of the back markers who failed to brake late. And you see them taking the picturesque route through the tyre barriers all the way across and rejoining the race. But you'll only be able to rejoin once the other drivers coming around the bend could have passed. And that's where problems happened between Shivik Tyagi, whose car's now beached on the gravel next to the curb. His race seems to be over. Disappointment for Quest Motorsport and disappointment for Shivik Tyagi as well.
So bird's eye view of corner 1 and see what happened. It went through without any problem. This is the second lap that's underway, so obviously there is that gap now after that 1 lap between the cars, so no problem here. But what happened was one of the cars, then once it collided with the other, the ones following took the smarter way out and say, rather than ramming into another car, we'll just take the route through the tyres and we'll rejoin at the back. A good start for Adit Parashar, who remains at the top as far as the races are concerned, at the top of the pile. We got Chetan Suryaneni and Gaurav Kochar there also involved. Starting from P7, Joel Joseph has moved up to 4th as all the cars now follow the safety car. We've got Dhruv Goswami, who was one of the podium finishers yesterday, in 5th, followed by the race winners, the winner of both the races yesterday, Kyle Kumaran, in car number 70. Arjun Shyam Nair, car number 18, had a troubled race yesterday. He'd be hoping to get and do better this time round, as you can see the safety car still out there, no overtaking.
Safety car ka E missing hai. DEY.
Chetan Suryaneni moving up to 2nd, a very, very good start for him as well. And, he'd be disappointed with the kind of performances he put in yesterday. A lot is expected of him and couldn't get onto the podium. He would be hoping now that he's running 2nd at the moment, with the laps being gobbled down behind the safety car. Well, he would be hoping that he can make the podium today.
Karthikeya, the interesting part is, remember, it's a reverse grid that kicked in for the start of this race. So the finishing order for the previous race was actually reversed for the top 8. So Kyle Kumaran, who had a race win, actually had started off on 8th, and Joel Joseph was in on P7, who'd finished 2nd earlier, and Dhruv Goswami, who'd finished 3rd in the first race of the day, was starting off on P6. So generally the reverse grid kicks in to give a chance to some of the other drivers in the mid pack to have an opportunity to start right at the top of the starting grid on the next race. But I think what's happened here is that this has been an eventful, action-packed and incident-packed race so far. A red flag on the first lap itself, and then the safety car coming out on the first lap itself when the race was restarted.
Well, eventful to say the least. Raman, we've already had one red flag, we've already had the safety car out, we've had 4 cars already miss out on a start and the restart of the race with that incident that happened earlier on when the original start happened. So it's all happening here at the Kari Motor Speedway. It will be very interesting, as you said, Raman, to see how the mid-pack now performs with the reverse grid kicking in, and also how the big guns like Kyle Kumran, who's won both the races yesterday, can go on. Can he make his way up and get another podium finish? Even better if he can get the race win. Although Aditya Parsuram, he's in good form. He got a podium yesterday as well. Gaurav Kochar, Chetan Surreni, both massively experienced in this category. Then you got the likes of Aman Nagdev and Dhruv Goswami as well.
I think what's disappointing is that for Quest Motorsport, what was disappointing is that they managed to get Shivik Tyagi's car back on the racetrack. And when the race restarted, unfortunately his car was benched again, and the race has restarted now. Effectively overtaking will be allowed because the safety car has gone into the pit lane, and we're back to regular racing here. You can see coming down the straight, Aditya Parsuram is leading. Chetan Surineni in second. Gaurav Kochar and Joel Joseph were involved in a battle. Also, there's a battle on between Dhruv Goswami, Kyle Kumaran as well. For the moment, though, it's Gaurav Kochar who's in third, Chetan Surineni in second, and Aditya Parsuram is leading the pack. But look at what's happening behind them. Oh, another spin. 2 cars spinning as they go into corner 1, and luckily it's the back markers, so there's no oncoming traffic, which might have otherwise led to another incident.
Kyle Kumran has moved up to 4th very, very quickly. Remember, started at P8. As you can see, the white car in 4th, that's Kyle's car. They will get the timings that you're seeing at the bottom of the screen. They do get updated after the end of the lap. Joel Joseph has dropped down, and well, Prabhanj Paruchari there skidding, but luckily for him, he's back on the racetrack. Car number 4 there of Momentum Motorsports, as Aditya Parsuram continues to lead the race comfortably. We've done with 3 laps. We're into lap number 4. Remember, it is and remains a 10-lap race.
Absolutely, and another car beached near the tyre barrier is the car that belongs to Akshit Kumaran of M Sport. The lad from Chennai. His race has come to an end, but the battle is on in the mid-pack here. And I will just complete the story I was talking about earlier. Chetan Korada, who's running Quest Motorsport, I think he'd be disappointed as team principal of Quest Motorsport. The fact that they managed to get Shivik Tyagi's car back on the racetrack, and unfortunately when the race restarted, well, Shivik involved in an incident and his race came to an end. There was car number 2, which we saw earlier, being towed away by the recovery crew. So disappointment for the team principal and the driver, Shivik Tyagi, as well. But let's get back to race action now. That's unfolding. There is a battle on in the mid-pack as well. It's not all clearly decided. The top 4 have broken away from the rest of the pack. But then the top 3, as you can see, still probably just about a second between the 2, or second and a half between the top 3. But the challenge is for positions 5, 6 and 7.
Certainly there's a good battle going on there between Joel Joseph, Dhruv Goswami, and then you have an M Sport there as well. Aman Nagdev involved. So certainly we will go down right till the wire as far as that battle is concerned. But Aditya Parsuram now is peeling away from the other race leaders. He's got about a good second and a half gap between himself and Chetan Surineni, who's coming in second. Gaurav Kochar half a second behind Chetan, and then Kyle Kumran is also about a second behind Gaurav Kochar. So Kyle Kumran, who started off at P8, he's done well. In fact, Aditya Parsuram, we were talking about him stretching his lead, and he's pulling the fastest lap of the race so far. 1 minute 18.259.
And it's not too far off. If you look at the times that Gaurav Kochar is clocking as well, 1 minute 18.565 for him. Pretty good times being clocked by Gaurav Kochar as well, who's in fact now looking to challenge. You look at the overall position. That's the battle in the mid-pack. Joel Joseph in that, Aman Nagdev in the scheme of things as well. There was Dhruv Goswami in that three-way battle that we saw a little while ago. But this is what's happening up front. Aditya Parsuram, the race leader, followed by Chetan Surineni in car number 56. Then you'll see the blue, that's Gaurav Kocha, whose car is followed by Kari Motor, who's overall the championship leader after 2 races.
Well, he's got 2 out of 2 and he's now hoping for another podium. Well, he's closing his gap between himself and Gaurav Kocha. At the end of the previous lap, it was 1 second, 0.281, and now it's under 1 second. It's in fact 0.81, and now it's Joel Joseph who's just overtaken Dhruv Goswami. That battle going on. That's car number 7, Aman Nagdev as well. It's a terrific battle now in the mid-pack as well, while Aditya Parsuram continues to peel away and he continues to go on and stretch his lead. It's now close to 2 seconds, the gap between Aditya and Chetan Surineni, as there's a battle now for another place in the mid-pack. There was Deep Singh Katnori, the lap from Delhi, Leapfrog Racing, also involved there. He is Deep. That's car number 93, that's Kamal Kanan, JK of Momentum Motorsports, the lad from Pondicherry. Interesting battle going on there as well. You see different battles going on in different parts of the track.
Absolutely, and Karthike, we're talking about drivers who come from different parts of the country, from Kunnur, from Delhi, from Bangalore, from Tripur, from Nagpur as well, Ernakulam. You've got drivers who come in. Now what's also interesting to see is if you look at the straight stretch here, there was a hint of debris just towards the corner, so the drivers as they come into C1 who are taking the outside line would be very careful. Now look at that, there's a hint of debris because one of the cars earlier had gone off the track onto the gravel, so there's a bit of mud and dirt and gravel that's come onto the racetrack just towards the end of corner 1. So cars coming on the outside line will have to be very careful.
Moments ago you saw that battle going on between Aman Nagdev and Joel Joseph, car number 31 in car 7. In the meantime, we're seeing Gaurav Kocha coming in, skidding. He was trying to make his move, and Chetan Surineni collides there with Gaurav Kocha. It was Gaurav who tried to come in on the inside, braking hard, skidding, and Chetan was following him. There was big contact. That allowed Kyle Kumaran now to move up to second. That's what happened. The tyres locking up.
Absolutely. He thought he'd take the inside line, Gaurav Kocha. The tyres locked up as he slammed on the brakes. And that is where contact takes place as well. Chetan Surineni, his car colliding with the rear left wheel of Gaurav Kocha's car. Luckily for Chetan Surineni, he managed to keep his car running, but Gaurav Kocha not so lucky. His car stalled on the racetrack.
It's a bonus for Kyle Kumaran, who's now straight away moved up to second. Dhruv Goswami is on to third now, while Joel Joseph is fourth. Aman Nagdev, you can see car number 7 on the left of your screen, while Arjun Sam, car number 18, is now moved up to 6th. It's a good battle now between these three as far as Joel, Aman and Arjun are concerned, and Aman is constantly pressurizing, is putting a lot of pressure on Joel Joseph. At times, I mean, a couple of times they've exchanged that spot for 4th and 5th, and at the moment it is Joel Joseph who continues to lead the two, with Rishit Nisar of Mumbai also. Now you saw that moments ago involved in the scheme of things.
Joel Joseph really having to stave off that challenge from Aman Nagdev. This race has suddenly opened up, and opened up in how? Well, that's a picturesque shot. You look at the windmills in the background, something that's been a typical sight here at Coimbatore. A bird's eye view of this racetrack at the Kari Motor Speedway. It's got its fair share of challenges. Tight left-hand corner, the hairpin before you come back onto the start-finish straight. And this is where Aditya Parsuram's going to run into the back markers, so he'll have to be careful. Car number 6, he's the race leader. He's going past the back markers now, who need to make way for him to allow him to pass.
Easily done there as far as Aditya Parsuram was concerned. Car number 69, Rishit Nisar, getting out of the way and allowing the race leader to go on and press as hard as he can. And you see in the massive gap now between Aditya Parsuram and Kyle Kumaran. It's close to 5.5, 6 seconds now. And all he has to do is keep us calm, do the right things. And with the final lap, I think he should be good to go as far as the checkered flag is concerned. Kyle Kumran, I'll say, is the big winner of all that incident that happened in the previous lap. He was fourth at that point in time, and now he finds himself in second, and a decent podium finish for him, considering he started at P8. He's got 2 race wins yesterday, takes him straight on to 28 points.
Yes, and ensures this finish will ensure that he continues to lead the driver standings. But for the moment, keep your eye on the man who's going to take the checkered flag. Aditya Parsuram finishes the race, gets a race win under his belt. Kyle Kumaran will come in second, almost 6 seconds behind Aditya Parsuram. And it will be Dhruv Goswami who's finished ahead of Joel Joseph. So that's the turnaround there. Dhruv Goswami manages another 3rd place finish in the JK Tyre Novice Cup, following up his 3rd place finish in the first race on day 1, where he finished 3rd. Now he finishes 3rd on day 2 in this race as well.
So a couple of podiums there for Dhruv Goswami. Dhruv of M Sport, the lad from Bangalore. Well, 2 who would be very, very disappointed with this outcome would be Aman Nagdev and Chetan Surineni.
Absolutely, and Gaurav Kochar as well.
Gaurav Kochar as well.
Who, was in the top 3, and that incident involving Gaurav Kochar and Chetan Surineni is what opened the door for Kyle Kumaran. In fact, it's also allowed Joel Joseph to finish in the top 4, so he'll take away valuable points from this race as well, will Joel Joseph. And I think in the end, it's a result that Team DTS Racing will be happy with. As a team principal, Diljit TS is going to be a happy man seeing the result that Kyle Kumaran's got, and also Joel Joseph finishing 4th in this race means more points in the team championship for them.
Absolutely, and that battle we were talking about for 4th, 5th and 6th, Aman eventually dropped down to 6th. So he lost out on a few points there as well. And that's your race winner, car number 6, Aditya Parsuram, started at P2. Well, effectively P1, because Navneet Burani was a no-starter, which meant that he was starting as at the top. That's the confirmation on the bottom left of your screen. Aditya Parsuram, your race winner. Kyle Kumaran coming in second, and Dhruv Goswami taking the 3rd spot on the podium. Kyle will be thinking he's very lucky because of that incident involving Chetan Surineni along with Gaurav Kochar. So that allowed him move from 4th straight on to 2nd without overtaking anyone. Literally without overtaking anyone. From 4th you move on to 2nd. You'll be thanking your stars, because there was a lot of good racing right at the top with the Aditya Parsuram, Gaurav Kochar and Chetan Surineni, with Kyle Kumaran right behind them. There was a great battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, with Joel Joseph, Aman Nagdev also involved, and in the end it was Joel who finished 5th. Aman Nagdev dropped down to 6th. Drivers go on to the mandatory weigh bridge post the race. It was an eventful race, 2 starts. Let's very quickly take you through to the highlights. So that was the first start, where Navneet Burani's car just never got going, and that end resulted in a massive melee right after the start-finish line. You see the cars coming in. That was the contact. Kishan Bindal colliding with Abhinav Narendra, and then Abhinav's teammate Surya Narayan colliding with him. Those 2 Ahura Racing cars were straight away out of the race and the contention. In fact, Abhinav ramming into the safety wall. There was an incident in the corner with Kyle Kumaran and his teammate Joel Joseph as well. And then it was car number 66 just skidding, and that was of Akshit Kumaran of M Sport. Straight away the race, and rightly so, was red flagged. That means it would have to be restarted. So the first start meant that 4 racers were out of the race straight away. Navneet Burani, 2 Ahura Racing cars, and the M Sport of Akshit Kumaran. Kishan Bindal was lucky, and he could rejoin the pack and rejoin the restart. So was Shivik Tyagi. Shivik Tyagi of Quest Motorsport, the lad from Delhi. And this was the restart after the red flag, and it was a great start for Aditya Parashuram, who starting at P2. There was no one at P1, so he was effectively at the top of the grid. And thankfully, just one little incident there at corner 1. The cars that were following thought better to go through the tyre barrier rather than get involved. Aditya Parashuram straight away had a great start. So did Chetan Suraneni and Gaurav Kochar. That was Shivik Tyagi and Anvahim Rajani getting involved, and that was the end of the race for one of them, although Shivik did rejoin, but not for very long. Once again, the yellow flag and the safety car was out. And the safety car used a lot. And as the safety car went into the pits, it was Aditya Parashuram who was the race leader, and that's when he started stretching his lead. There was a battle going on between the two GTS and one M Sport. As you can see, Aman Nagdev was that M Sport, and the two DTS were of Kyle Kumran and Joel Joseph. Remember, Kyle won both the races yesterday, and he's starting at P8, and it would have been very, very important for him to get some valuable points. There was an incident where one car was stalled and the one coming in skid, and it was Shivik Tyagi, although he did manage to get his car up and running again. It's an eventful race we've had, coming down through this start-finish line straight, and it was Aditya Parashuram comfortably leading him with every passing lap. He was in fact extending the gap between himself and Chetan Suraneni, who's car number 56. Gaurav Kochar coming in third. Kyle had moved up to fourth. Kyle Kumran, who started at P8. The battle between Aman Nagdev along with Dhruv Goswami and Joel Joseph in the mid-pack was also happening. Deep Singh, the lad from Delhi, also involved in a battle in the middle of the pack. This is where Aman tried to make his move on Joel Joseph. Joel doing very, very well to just close the gap. Once again, Aman was always looking for that inside line and a little bit of room to get past Joel Joseph. Joel doing well. This is where the big incident happened. Coming in, Gaurav Kochar, the tyres getting locked up and the car skids, and Chetan Suraneni then rams into that car, and that was the end of the race for both of them. Coming in a little hot there was Kamal Ganan GK car 93, but in the end he had to let the others go before rejoining racing action. No such problem for Aditya Parashuram though. From start to finish, he continued to lead the race. He did very, very well, did the young lad. In fact, avoided the back markers as well. You see one of the back markers, car number 69, that was of Harshit Nisar. And because of that collision between Gaurav Kochar and Chetan Suraneni, Kyle Kumran ended up finishing second. That was the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, with Aman Nagdev coming in 6th and Joel Joseph taking a very important 4th place.
मैडम जी वो सारे पैसे लेके भाग गए और मेरा वड़ा पाव भी ले गए।
दिखाते हैं इनको।
मोटे वड़ा पाव हिलर निकाल दे इसके बाद।
पंक्चर के बाद भी इससे हवा नहीं निकलेगी, क्योंकि ये है JK पंक्चर का टायर, जो कील लगने के बाद भी होता है हीट।
क्यों निकल गई हवा?
JK पंक्चर का टायर, अब हवा नहीं निकलेगी।
So now we move on to the prize distribution ceremony at the end of the race. It was a very, very important third place finish for Dhruv Goswami. Dhruv from M Sport, the lad from Bangalore. Coming in second, Kyle Kumran. I think he will be happy with the second place finish, but he won't be the happiest lad around. And a terrific race win for Aditya Parsuram. Aditya Parsuram winning the race, coming in first. Kyle Kumran coming in second. And it is Hari Singh who is giving away the trophies. So 3 races, and he's been on the podium in all 3 is Kyle Kumran, albeit race winners in the previous 2 yesterday and coming in second today. Aditya Parsuram was also one of the podium finishers yesterday along with Dhruv Goswami. So that's the second podium of the weekend for both Aditya Parsuram and Dhruv Goswami. Aditya Parsuram of Haston Performance, the lad from Chennai, taking the checkered flag, and also Haston getting the technician's trophy as well. Brilliant performance from Aditya Parsuram from start to finish. He was the race leader, started at effectively P1, although he was at P2. There was no one at P1, so he started as the race leader and continued to lead the race and take home the checkered flag. Now, very quickly, we'll go to Raman, who's with the race winners at the PD area.
Well, what a fantastic race it turned out to be. Eventful to say the least, but in the end, fantastic for Aditya Parsuram, who notched up a race win. Let's have a quick chat with our podium finishers. I'm going to talk to Dhruv. Dhruv finished third today in a very, very eventful race, but you know, you're back on the podium just like you'd started the round with race 1. Now back on the podium on the third place finish.
Yeah, half of the race I didn't know what was happening because there were so many red flags and safety car, but then really happy how the race went.
Go well. Now that you're back to the podium, keep up the winning ways. Third place finish there for Dhruv. Let's have a quick chat with Kyle Kumran. He finished second in this race. Kyle, your car was airborne for a bit when you had that contact coming into C1 with your teammate Joel Joseph, but luckily for you, you kept the car running, so things are still good, and the second place means that you're still right on top in the driver standings.
It was a good recovery drive, a little bit too much damage to have much pace actually. I think I was in 6th after the start, and I made a move to the outside on the first start before the red flag. Made a bit of a mistake in judgment, tried to outbrake myself, and obviously went into the back of Joel. So rear left and front right were both damaged. Tried to fix it as much as we could on the grid. The team did an excellent job with that, so was capable to drive the car, just not that quickly. But yeah, second is a good result. We made 2 good moves in the race. Obviously, there was an incident in front when I was in 4th, so got gifted second in the end. But I think we were thereabouts. So good result.
Well, important points in the bag. Go well for the next one, and I hope your car's set right for the next race. We'll see. He's got his fingers crossed on that. Let's have a chat with Aditya Parsuram. He's got a big smile on his face. Yesterday, when I was talking to him, he said, I wish to win get some race wins under my belt, and you've got one in a race that was red flagged on the first lap itself, a restart, again a yellow flag behind the safety car for a couple of laps. Everything that could happen probably happened in this race.
It did. But no, once I got into the lead, I was just managing my pace. That's it. It was pretty easy, I would say.
Satisfying. A result that's satisfying?
Yes.
And the fact that you've picked up a race win to go with the third place finish yesterday in race 2 means that you've garnered points as well that keeps you in the hunt for the Drivers' Championship.
Yes. Hopefully next race also goes well and we can improve on this.
Well, anything different that you did when you saw all the commotion happening around you and behind you?
Just get into a lead, half a straight lead, and then just maintain my pace and just take it conservative. And if I needed to push, I would have.
Congratulations on the race win, and wishing you well for the next one.
Thank you so much.
It's a quick little chat with Aditya Parsuram, the race winner. It's back to Karthik and the com box.